Okay, well, we started off on the big horizon. That's for sure. Let's talk about some of the things that are actually in the boxes now, and where they may be going. We've mentioned TiVo, and there's no question that the biggest general kind of step forward with set-top boxes in recent years has been incorporation of the PVR. And certainly from a consumer perspective, it's the one television development I know personally, and everybody I talk to, having got it, they die in a ditch rather than give it back. From your point of view, do you think PVR functionality is better kept in the box than put onto the network? And if it is kept in the box, I mean, are there any limits on storage capacity? John?
Depending on how the box is architected, there aren't limits. Drives can be added, for example. Drives are standard, and it's fairly easy to add them if the power systems are there to support it. My personal opinion is it's certainly better to have the PVR in the box and not tie the bandwidth of the net up.
And in terms of, because storage is one of those things that in real terms its cost keeps coming down. So I think, I mean, I've got a box that's now got 320 gig, I think, because it's HD. But there are suppliers in other parts of the world who are doing half a terabyte and talking about going to a terabyte. I mean, is the biggest implication of that actually more to do with power consumption than it is to do with the capacity of the disk?
Power consumption and the intelligence of power utilization. So if there are a variety of disks, for example, so that the box isn't obsoleted when the next disk drive comes out. If you want to add either within the box itself or be able to interface to it with a storage system or have local network attached storage, the ability to turn drives on and off, to know where things are, to use power wisely as opposed to just keep running more drives is the way to increase storage without having a parallel increase in power. That's how we used to do it. We're getting smarter about how we use power going forward.
Jason?
I think from a silicon perspective, we don't really mind where the storage is. It's not a large difference to us. I think when you look very much in the vertical space, traditional DTH providers, then they'll always want some storage in the box, in the set-top box itself, partly from a control element, partly because they're still mainly broadcasting, so they want to be able to record on your box. Obviously, in the IP and cable environment, you've got more opportunity to use networked-based storage, either outside the home or within the home. I think, as the comment you just made, if it's outside the home, you're using valuable network bandwidth potentially. I think from a consumer's perspective, ultimately, it will make sense to have a NAS, a central home repository where you can mix your own content coming from various sources. But I think it's taken long enough to educate consumers about DVR or PVR. Everyone, when they've got one, they don't want to give it back, but it's very hard to explain what it is initially and what the benefits are. So trying to replicate that with the idea of a NAS, I think is going to take a little bit longer.
I think as these boxes become more complex, they become probably an impediment to the consumer really understanding and managing and helping consumption. I think much as I love my TiVo, I think there's also a role for network-based DVR type functions, in particular catch-up TV. I mean, network bandwidth may be tough, but trying to record multiple HD programs on a local DVR box is taxing to most broadband services today. Perhaps there's a role for network storage. All of the programs you ever wanted to watch on a Thursday evening, they're all available on the network in a catch-up TV kind of mode. Maybe the one or two you want to access inside the home frequently. You don't want to continue to download them or stream them. Maybe you want to convert them to other formats or something like that. Then yes, maybe in the home. But I think more and more we're going to be seeing a combination of network and local storage.
I think that one thing that Apple showed us is how to take complexity and make it easy, and take complexity and make it a value.
That's in terms of UI,
particularly in terms of the user interface. So the Apple iPhone, in my mind, is a great model for this because they've taken a lot of services and a lot of capability and a lot of expandability and made it very intuitive and easy. That's the challenge for the set-top box manufacturer, to do that in order to make that kind of functionality and value added available. Today, it's been more of a computer model a Windows operating system crashes every once in a while, no power button on the front to reset it, kind of problem that would force things off onto a software solution or an internet solution. But
so it's a presentational challenge, and I think that's you know, in a multi-channel universe, in a very you know, linear only my TV kind of world. Yeah, it's a presentational kind of challenge. Set-top box manufacturers obviously lean a lot on middleware vendors for that kind of environment and that kind of presentational issue. And it, again, I strongly feel that, you know, the evolution of that is a combination of local and network accessed content presented in a compelling way that the consumer can navigate.
So it's kind of a hybrid, but the hybrid being between it being on a disk and it coming from the network.
So that you don't care so much about where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think also get the important point here that the customer is paying for it. Being an operator, if I were the operator, I will be pretty much in favor of having it locally stored. Not only because it opens up opportunities, because what we see is that online customers are mostly now in Western Europe and the US, and the market is much larger than this. So having boxes with the local PVRs are more of use in the entire world. And you can also use these boxes online wherever you are, actually. It's kind of asset as well, that you can bring it along as your DVB player.
So having downloaded something, you can then go somewhere else and
that's
play it back. I wouldn't want to do it on my Skybox, to be honest. But
no, I don't know if a lot of people actually does it, but it's possible.
yeah, no, I had to move them between rooms, and you just plug it in, and
Yeah, but you can bring it to your cabin or wherever where you are not online.
that's very much a Norwegian thing, cabins.
Mark's big, you know.